everybody. My name is Terry Holscher, and with us this evening we have Justin McMillan, the founder and CEO of Treehouse Recovery. And we are so excited to be able to visit with Justin this evening and to share more about his organization and his personal journey. So welcome, Justin. We're glad you're here with us.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So, Justin, to get us started, can you just share a little bit about how Justin became Justin, a little bit of your history, and just
Sure.
share with us a little bit? Let us get to know you.
Yeah, of course, of course. So I come from a decent sized family. I'm one of four siblings. I was born in North Dakota. My mother basically raised on a farm till I was 8 years old. My father was in the military, and raised kind of that traditional old school farm values, to work hard and to just be tried and true in everything you do. Yeah, my family moved. My dad decided that he wasn't really, time for him to. He decided he wasn't going to keep doing the military thing. So there was a shift in his thinking, and he decided to go into the civilian world. So mom decided to become a teacher, moved to the Northwest, and lived in a logging community in the Northwest. That went on for all the way through high school, and pretty much grew up in a lower middle class family. Lots of love, really amazing parents. They tried everything they could, but with four kids running around, three boys and a girl. I was the oldest boy, so you can imagine there's struggles there. Me and my dad used to, have a lot of conflicts. But yeah, raised in a wonderful family, very loving. Parents worked a lot, so they weren't always able to be there. But they tried. They did their best. And so yeah, so the Northwest. So my youth looked like being raised in the mountains, fishing and running around outdoors all the time. The reason I'm saying this is because now I live in Orange County, California, which is a very different world than where I come from, and I oftentimes long for that, especially now that I have three children. I've got a boy and two daughters, and probably more on the way because my wife still wants more babies. So that's a whole nother thing. So I'm a father as well. Moved out to California, after, so I guess, to give you an idea, understanding sort of my career path, I guess, I was really into the arts, and that obviously didn't fit well, in the community that I grew up in. So small town, and, was much more of a creative guy. And did a lot of wood shop and that sort of thing. And I was actually in theater. So I was doing professional theater in Portland, Oregon, before I was even out of high school. Thought I was going to be an actor, ended up going to school down in California, to study theater. And once I got here, I was just disillusioned by everything. It was like a pretty big shift for me. It was hard for me because, acting in California is being in the movies, and I wasn't used to that. It was a very different thing. And I wasn't a musical theater guy. I was just a straight dramatic actor kind of a guy. But I did end up, because of theater, I got a scholarship at a school down here, and I was able to go to college. So after a couple of years into school, I switched my major once I decided that I wasn't really interested in doing that, and studied everything from religious studies and some other things, organizational leadership. But during that period of time, so I'm in recovery myself, and during that period of time is when my addiction started to really kind of rear its nasty head, and things got worse and worse for me in terms of being able to maintain, like a lot of young people, it's usually starts when you're younger, and it did, but it really kind of got bad when I was in my early 20s. And so I ended up in and out of school for 6.5 years. Wasn't really able to hold it together completely, and then ended up getting involved in real estate and design, which is a whole crazy story. So I designed this building, and it was supposed to go on these properties, these two big lots, and and it actually got approved and everything. And it was like written about in magazines and all this stuff, but it never got built. And what ended up happening was the people who had invested in this project all backed out because 2008 hit and the economy fell apart. And this all kind of leads into, I guess, how Treehouse started. So, so I'm again in my active addiction, but maintaining to some degree as much as you can. I mean, I had no idea how unhealthy I was really, and now looking back at it in hindsight. But living on the property where this building was to be built, partners backed out, people went bankrupt based on the economy shift, and I ended up in a garage, living in a garage on the property, and for a year and a half as these houses went into foreclosure. And at that point, my downward spiral went to a level that I'm sure a lot of the people who will listen to this understand if they've got children that have gone through. You know, I was to the point where I was suicidal. I was I really kind of surrendered myself that one day someone was just going to find me, and that was the way that things were going to end, and that all my dreams and ideas and ambitions were just done, and that my life was worthless. And there was a layer to this though, there was some beauty around this, because there were a lot of people that I had connected with through school and through some of the jobs that I'd had, and even through the project that I was trying to put together that didn't work, that really loved me and cared about me. And these people were coming and they would do the knock on the garage door kind of wellness check, and just to see if I was okay. And then at one point, one of the guys came around and had said that I actually let in to talk to me. And he was like, you know, why don't you start a sober living here? You know, and I later found out that this guy was trying to tap into this, what he thought was my entrepreneurial spirit, you know, really, because I was doing this housing thing before. And he was thinking like, okay, maybe that would motivate him to at least put himself around or get him out of the shell. And that part of me just like that kind of rang into my head. And I remember coming out of it was a cave. I mean, honestly, and coming out and really deciding, okay, I'm going to try to do this, and, you know, putting together a day and then another day. And I had a really good friend who's still close with me now. His name is George. And he was kind of guiding me through my early sobriety. And okay, so I've got two houses on this property, living in a garage. These houses are empty. And I thought, okay, I could do this. I mean, if I can get sober, if I can get 2 days here, go to meetings, I can do this. Like, other people can live here with me. And so but I had no idea how to do it. Right. So, I mean, I had no idea how you would go about starting something like that. So what I did is there was a park nearby the house, and I would just go to anybody that was there. And I basically said, hey, if you need a place to live, I got a bunch of empty rooms. The only thing is you have to be sober. And there's an indigent detox near the house. It's called Charlie Street. This place is like a holy place. I mean, truly, like, people that have burned every bridge you can imagine, they end up at this place, and, you know, lives are saved there. People pass away there. I mean, it's basically a detox where guys are, you know, seizing up on the patio. It's crazy. But they've been around a long time, and they save people's lives. So anyways, if somebody was drunk, they would go to Charlie Street. I'd visit them every day. Next thing you knew, I had people living in my house. There was people all around me. We started getting closer. And that I fumbled through that for about a year. But really, it was just providing housing for people who didn't have a place to go, and just homeless, addicts, alcoholics, all of us the same. And, you know, finding some sort of, I don't know, I guess finding health through connection is really, when I look back on it, that's what was really going on. I mean, the bonds that were forming were really what it was about. During that time also, I don't know if you're familiar with this area, but I mean, where I'm at in Orange County is like the hotbed of treatment centers, and there's a lot of crazy stuff going on down here. And so, you know, by the way the houses grew from to, I was able to get them from the bank. I was able to purchase them. My brother came in and purchased one. And we ended up with more people trying to get into these houses than we had room for. I started to gain the support of like local politicians. I mean, all kinds of people sort of came out of the woodwork to say, I love what you're doing. Like, let's keep doing this. You know, I was making a difference. We were making a difference. and I started to unify people. So we got more houses. Now we have 9 in the area. I don't own all of them, but they're people that we collaborated with and whatnot. But through this process, years, I mean, we've housed over 1,000 people, just in housing. Through years of doing this, I got really bitter. I mean, especially in the second year, I was really bitter about treatment programs in general. And again, like where we're at in Orange County, there's just a lot of issues in terms of people maybe going into trying to help people for the wrong reasons or trying to make a quick buck, and especially during that time, And so I was pretty bitter about treatment centers, and I was also new in recovery. And if you know what that's like, you tend to pick up resentments quickly, and you're not necessarily healthy. So it was really kind of an us against them thing. Anyways, that shifted, and I really kind of went from this space of, instead of complaining about this or instead of having issues with this, like, what would you do? What would I do? I mean, here I've got kids showing up at my doorstep with, parents that have spent all their money, like pretty much like almost bankrupting their family, all these things, and thinking to myself, like, there's got to be a better way to do this. And what's interesting about this is, I didn't go through treatment myself. I'm getting a candid view, like a real honest view of exactly what's going on, because I'm just part of the crew, you know what I mean? And I started really learning what was working and what wasn't working, and just a handful of people who were actually producing any kind of results that were good. And I saw a bunch of things that were like absolutely broken at their core. One is that the way that treatment is paid for is broken, meaning that, people make more money when patients fail. And this has been a huge subject that's haunted me for a long time, because that means that the people who have the most failing patients make the most amount of money. And that means they have more marketing dollars and they have more power. And that's really kind of an ugly, ugly thing. So anyways, so how do we build a treatment program that could be better, And so that led me down all kinds of different roads. I got involved with local academia. I brought psychologists on board, MFTs, and just started talking to people and asking questions. And we really kind of landed on this idea through lots of discussion. And the big thing was, let's just take addiction completely and say, okay, maybe everything that we think we understand about addiction is off. And maybe everything we think we understand about treating addiction is off. And let's just say, what is it? What is it actually? What are we actually doing here? And what does this look like? And that led to some crazy, am I going too far into this? I don't want to, should ask you. No? Okay. Okay.
You're good.
So that led to this sort of 50,000 foot view of, and this is going to sound out there, but it was like, what is the human condition right now? Like, what's going on in this country? What's going on in this world that's causing so many people to be sick? Like all these people that I was living with, myself, like what happened with me? Like what's really going on? And is it a genetic thing? Is it this? Is it family? Is it trauma? Like looking at all these things. And we landed on a couple of things, which is that somehow, and this is with the help of a lot of people, but somehow, if you look at the span of human history, and again, I grew up on a farm, I came from a different world. People, since the Industrial Revolution, or since the advent of machines, human beings really kind of jumped off of our normal, or not our normal, but our trajectory that we were on. Like, we stopped moving, we stopped connecting, we stopped having these strong bonds with each other, we stopped having strong family ties. And so we took this simple idea, and one of the biggest ones was this idea that people stop moving. So I definitely, part of my recovery was getting physically active. And so human beings, we landed on a couple ideas. Human beings stopped moving. We stopped expelling energy in the way that we used to. We stopped using our body as a tool for work. And that has to affect us in some way, and it probably affects our neurochemistry. That was a thought. The other one is that we stopped connecting, and that we're still not connecting in the same way. And so we came up with the hypothesis: what if we built a program that got people to the same level of physical ability or connection with their body that they were pre-industrial revolution, or even similar to, just our early ancestors? And what if we got people connected in a way to where they felt a deep interdependent relationship with each other? And so and if we said if we did that, then we thought possibly most, if not all, of the issues with addiction would either subside or completely go away. And that was the starting point of building a framework. So we built this basic framework, and we use it today. And it has there was one other piece of this too, which is, all treatment centers out there use a model that they call biopsychosocial model. You've probably heard of this. Most moms have probably heard. So, and what this is it came from in the 70s, and basically it says that you need to treat the biological aspects of a person, you need to treat the psychological, and you need to treat the social aspects of the person. So I'm saying, great, I get it, right? You got to have your biology right, psychology, social. But the problem was when we all started looking at these different therapies, we discovered that almost all therapy was solely focused on psychology, and that the biological side, they really were focusing on neurobiology, but it was mostly through psychopharmacological interventions, so like psych meds. And that, to me, I was thinking, okay, so where are the modalities, where are the therapies that address biology, and where are the ones that address the social side? So we built, again, with a group of people, we built 5 different modalities that work in concert. And they fall under 2 umbrellas. There's a physical empowerment department and there's a clinical department. The physical empowerment department is designed to address all of the biological variables in addiction. And the clinical side is meant to address all the clinical side of addiction. And then they both have overlapping themes for the social side. So I built this basic drawing or framework of what this would look like and pulled people together. At this point in time, my younger brother, is moving to California. He's an engineer. And he sees what I'm doing, and I'm living kind of my best life at this point. I'm so happy. I feel blessed every day. I wake up with purpose, and he's like, I want to join forces with you. So he gets involved, and he'd done a bunch of work with the Army Corps of Engineers. So he was like, I can handle all of the details and the structure around this. But one of his caveats was, look, if we're going to do this, he's an engineer, and he's like, it has to be measurable. We have to look at outcomes, and it has to be good. Like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to step away from a great career and a great job if we don't have an amazing result. And that, to this day, has been one of the most important things that was ever said. I mean, it was because then it became, okay, so here I've got Kathy, who still works for us today, and George, and these different professionals, clinicians, and they're saying, okay, well, what does a good result look like? What does that mean? Like, when people say success, what does that even mean? What are we looking for? Is it just sobriety? Is it more than that? And so my brother, who's an amazing man, we do this sometimes because we're very different, but we love each other, came in and started basically saying, we have to make it measurable. We have to make it effective. We have to know targets. We have to be clear about what we want to do. And he helped develop a ton of the metrics that we use to study addiction. That's led us to some crazy places that I'll get into in a second. But so we created the modalities, the framework. We opened in Orange County, 12 beds, really simple to start. And we learned some things really quickly. One, we were trying to prove concept with this model. And, it was a little scary at first because, we had good people working on it, but there was no like clear idea of where it was going to go. And we wanted to make sure it was good. We saw tremendous results right out the gate. So that was really, really comforting. That was a good thing. But we quickly realized that, 30 days of treatment, 60 days of treatment, that wasn't going to work. So we ended up, and we decided that we were going to base everything in terms of performance. We would base our performance on our outcomes of our treatment and in terms of how healthy clients get, and not on the bottom line. So what that means is we make all of our decisions based on, is this going to be the most effective result to get the client well? And so what we did is we quickly realized that the program needed to be about 5 months. And that was actually over the course of a couple years, because it took about 5 months for clients to get well. So our average length of stay at Treehouse is 5.2 months. And so we did that. We grew. We ended up with 36 beds, 3 different tracks, all run by a separate team of therapists. So no team of therapists sees more than 12 people at a time, which is really, I think, a key thing. And then, okay, so that grew, and then, and I can go into the modalities, but I'll just give you kind of the trajectory of the company if that would be best. So that grew over time. We decided that we wanted to, and it was doing amazingly well in terms of outcomes. We started developing systems to measure. We call them the 28 dimensions. So we're measuring health outcomes post-treatment. There's a bunch of challenges with that, collecting the data. All these things are difficult. So we published internally some information around that. After a couple years running, we opened the Treehouse Northwest, which is the same model. So we actually used all the modalities that we use here are used up there, and they're taught and done in the exact same way. The modalities being therapeutic interventions. So our treatment's 6 hours a day, 5 days a week for 5 months. And they do that in Portland. They do it in Orange County. So then a little while longer, we started learning more about science. Clayton, my brother, is like, look, we need to really dive deeper into this if we're going to do this and make a big difference. Because we started talking about we need to go big. We should share all of this. We should share what we're doing. We need to tell everybody. And so we were at a point where him and I could have said, wow, we got comfortable. I mean, we built these treatment centers, but instead of doing that, we took all of the money that we've made and we basically reinvested it, and we started the Treehouse Academy and Research Institute, which its sole purpose is to study addiction, to train people in our approaches, make sure they're good, improve the product that we're producing, and to continue to look at that. And so that's led us down some crazy paths. So we're in the process of partnering with the NIH right now on a research study that basically is studying addiction, not just at Treehouse, but outside. So we're studying multiple different areas around addiction. We've also connected with the University of Texas, Austin, and we're looking at a study around writing and predictive analysis of writing and how that can possibly help us predict whether somebody's health. And that's a whole nother subject that would take a long time. And this has been really big for us because, again, we started with these they were experimental to some degree, and now it's grown through, more validity, more strength. And then that's led us to, we were invited out to DC to work on the Comprehensive Addiction Recovery Act to help teach about what we're doing, to help, determine, so the federal government figure out where to put dollars for the opioid epidemic. So I guess to stop and I'm truly living my purpose. And every day that I wake up, I can't believe it. And I'm a super blessed person. And I just know that as long as I continue to try to do my very best and I don't compromise on anything, that I will continue to have the feeling that I have, which is, I can't explain it to you. I'm sure you guys do similar work and that you're sharing and helping people, and you know what that feels like. And it's led me down these amazing roads. What went from an original idea, like I'd mentioned to you before we got started. I mean, we were just invited to Harvard. I didn't even finish school. And for me to be invited to Harvard to teach some professors about what I'm doing is, I feel like I need to pinch myself all the time and just go, this can't be real, So I'm humbled and I'm just grateful. And so that's, so we're involved in all kinds of things. So the company, we're trying to connect to Shatterproof to be a pilot study for them when they come out here. We're big champions of value-based reimbursements. And here's what we think would solve. If you want to know what we think would solve the entire treatment industry issue, it's attaching the amount of money people make directly to the outcomes. If people got paid more money when they treated someone and got them well, it would spur innovation in this whole field and in medicine in general. But the issue, like I said before, is that the mission of a treatment center should be to get someone well. And the way in which treatment centers get paid is in direct conflict with that, because if people fail, they get paid more money. And so we've been pushing that hard, and Shatterproof, that's one of the places we're trying to kind of push that idea. And we've been back and forth to the East Coast a bunch of times talking about that. And that's something that we're really passionate about. So that's kind of the company and what we're about. And, the things that we believe in. We started small, we're growing. We have a plan to expand around the country, but we have to do it responsibly. We're a family-owned business. My other brother works here too. So he was living in New York and finished up his master's degree. And then after seeing Clayton and I, he was like, I want to be part of this. So he moved out here. And so I'm blessed to have my family around me again. And
That's awesome. That's an amazing story. And it's just awesome to hear the success and your commitment, and thank you for that.
Thank you.
As a mom, I can definitely say that I can understand and hear and appreciate everything that you've said. So, but
I appreciate that.
so tell us one last thing, Justin, if it's okay with
Hmm.
you. Tell us, what was your drug of choice, and also what would be your top one or two things that you would do to encourage moms of children,
Okay.
and see how you can help us.
Sure. Okay. So I'm a polysubstance abuser, meaning anything that I could put into my body, I would put into my body. But I've had runs with cocaine. I've had runs with crystal meth. I've had runs with hallucinogens, years with ecstasy. So lots of different drugs. When I was in the garage, it was crystal meth and cocaine, marijuana, and alcohol. So and I've done opiates, but that was not, heroin was not big and around during that period of time. It's around, but not like it is now. As far as what I would tell families, this is someone just asked me this the other day, and I thought about it a lot. And I think the biggest thing, and I'm going to say this from somebody who's been through it. So when a person is in that state, when you're in active addiction, love for yourself is pretty much, it's not there. Like having self-love, caring about yourself at all is not there. Like if you can imagine the way that your son or daughter feels and what you see on the outside, it's 10 times worse than what you could possibly imagine in terms of self-loathing, and just to the point where when a person finally decides that they don't want to live anymore, I mean, it's that bad. So the idea here is there's an absence of love. What families can do, what anyone can do who's trying to support somebody in recovery, what moms can do is to be a conduit for that love. And there's a caveat to this, right? So we need to be love for people who don't have the ability to love themselves. That is like absolutely the most important thing. How much love can I possibly conjure up for this person? As mad as you are at them, as frustrated as you are with all the things they've done and the way that they've hurt your family, the way they've hurt you. And by the way, there's a time to get to that. And there is, and you should, and it's necessary. But what they need is love. And the key though is love, but saying like, I love you, I'm here for you, I'm gonna be this for you, but I'm absolutely not going to participate in helping you kill yourself. That's the key point. And so what does that mean? That means I'm not going to give you money. I'm not going to enable you in a way that's going to cause you to continue to be sick, but I'm going to love you and love you and love you. I'm going to remind you of the amazing person that you still are, that you just forgot. I'm gonna talk about the times when we had amazing moments growing up and the child that you were, and I'm gonna remind you that it's absolutely not impossible that you can be that again. Like that's the thing with me, with all the people that I've worked with. You get to this point where you think, yeah, you know what? This is just who I am. I'm a bad person. I'm a dirtbag. I'm this. And if you can have someone say no, like the truth is you're actually amazing, and it's just you just don't know it, and it's okay. You forgot. I'm here, and like I'm going to show you that in the way I look at you and the way I talk to you. But with that exact, and they're going to say mean things to you. They're going to be angry. They're going to do all these things. Trust me. And you just got to figure out a way to be like an armor of love, and you just keep feeding that to them. And that's what I think. And it sounds a little hippy dippy, but I'm telling you, that's what people need. We just need to. It's all about love.
Just to know you're loved, right? Love and
Yeah.
acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Yeah. 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 With a
Well, that
boundary that
is
I'm not going
awesome.
to. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just set a boundary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Easier said than done, I know.
Of course. Of course.
Wow. Well,
And then
thank
I
you
guess there's
so
another.
much, Justin. No, go right ahead. I don't want to cut you off. You go ahead.
Yeah, there's one other piece to that too, I think, and I think it's so relevant, especially here and talking to you, which is that okay, so I'm asking you to do something that's really difficult, which is to go out and love this person who's screaming at you and trying to manipulate you and saying the worst things to you and making you feel terrible or trying to make you feel terrible. You need support, and so finding a tribe, a community, a group of people that can support you is absolutely vital, which is why groups like the Addicts Mom exist. It's why all these different support groups that are out there for parents exist, so that you can go somewhere and get mad and say what you think and go, really share. I can't believe I forgot that, but that's an important piece, because you can't be expected to be resilient and to be tough in all those situations without a place to go and express your frustration and get that out and get the support you need, and kind of someone in your corner to put you on the back and, okay, go back out, you can do this, keep trying, it's okay, don't give up, don't lose hope. So yeah, that's the other piece.
Awesome. I agree with you 100%. Okay, well, Justin, that is a great beginning of us hearing your story, and we certainly appreciate you being with us tonight and sharing everything that you've been able to, enlighten us with, and about your story and about Treehouse Recovery. And we're excited that you're, on partnering with us, and we look forward to this journey with you.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to it as well.
Thank you.